Hello, I'm David Kerr and you are watching Shalom World News. Here are your latest news headlines from around the globe. There are calls for the Vatican to clarify comments attributed to Pope Francis in a new documentary in which the Holy Father seems to give his approval to homosexual civil unions. The controversial comments are contained within a new film by the Israeli-American director Evgeny Afineevsky entitled Francesco. The documentary features a series of interviews with Pope Francis. During one such conversation on the issue of homosexuality, the Holy Father is seen to say, quote, "What we have to create is a civil union law." In the wake of the interview being released to the media, several bishops across the globe have asked the Holy See to clarify both the comments and the opinion of the Holy Father on the matter of homosexual civil unions, with some Vatican commentators suggesting that the Spanish language interview has been mistranslated into English, while others suggest that the papal comments have been heavily edited. So far, however, the Vatican have declined to comment. In 2003, the Vatican's doctrinal watchdog, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, stated that, quote, "Respect for homosexual persons can never lead in any way to approval of homosexual behaviour or to legal recognition of homosexual unions." To Venezuela now, where a young priest has been shot dead after attempting to help a parishioner who was being held at gunpoint by robbers. The fatal shooting took place on Tuesday night after Holy Mass at the San Juan Bautista Diocesan Eucharistic Shrine in the city of San Carlos. According to reports, the local pastor, Father José Manuel de Jesus Ferreira, was saying goodbye to parishioners when armed men attempted to overwhelm the group in a bid to rob the adjacent parish house. The 39-year-old cleric then intervened after a parishioner was grabbed by a would-be thief. Tragically, this resulted in Father Ferreira being shot dead. May he rest in peace. So far, nobody has been arrested in connection with the killing. Judge Amy Coney Barrett looks set to be confirmed as the next Justice of the United States Supreme Court after being approved by the US Senate Judiciary Committee. The committee vote was boycotted by its Democratic members, but that still left Republican members with the numbers required to advance the nomination of Judge Barrett to a vote by the full Senate. It's expected they will now ratify her appointment prior to the US general election on November the 3rd. Judge Amy Coney Barrett was nominated to the Supreme Court by President Donald Trump following the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg last month. 48-year-old Judge Barrett is a practicing Catholic, a mother of 7, and a professor of law at Notre Dame University. Poland's top court has ruled that abortions in the cases of fetal defects are unconstitutional, a decision that will almost totally ban abortion in Poland. The ruling was delivered on October the 22nd, that's the feast day of the late Polish pontiff, Pope St. John Paul II. At present, there are approximately 1,000 legal abortions in Poland each year. 98% of those are carried out on the grounds of fetal disabilities. A challenge to that practice was raised last year by members of Parliament from the ruling centre-right Law and Justice Party. The result is this week's ruling by the country's Constitutional Tribunal. Once their decision comes into effect, abortions in Poland will only be allowed in cases of rape or incest or if the mother's health is at risk. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church in South Korea have spoken up against plans by its government to liberalise the Asian country's abortion laws. Last year, the nation's Constitutional Court ruled that South Korea's 7-decade-long ban on abortion was unconstitutional. South Korea's Ministry of Justice have now put forward a proposal to allow abortion up to 14 weeks in all cases and up to 24 weeks in cases of severe birth defect, sex crime or health risk to the mother. In response, the newly elected president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Korea, Bishop Matthias Lee Young-hoon, said, quote, "Protecting the dignity of human life is a value that cannot be compromised." He also lamented, quote, "the trend of neglect of life rampant in Korea." Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone of San Francesco has performed an exorcism on the spot where a statue of the 18th century Franciscan missionary St. Junipero Serra was vandalised and toppled earlier this month. The incident took place at the St. Raphael Mission Church in San Rafael on Monday, October the 12th. That incident was but the latest in a series of similar attacks upon statues of St. Junipero across California in recent months. Critics accuse the saint of oppressing Native Americans. That's a charge his defenders, though, including Archbishop Cordileone, strenuously deny. One other note on that story: following the exorcism of the site of the vandalised statue, Archbishop Cordileone also decided to perform an exorcism on a nearby Planned Parenthood facility, much to the approval of local pro-life activists who were already gathered there as part of the present 40 Days for Life campaign. Finally, an Italian missionary priest held captive by Islamist militants in the African country of Mali for over 2 years has been recounting how he survived his ordeal with the help of prayer and a shortwave radio. 59-year-old Father Pierluigi Macally was abducted by an armed group of jihadists from Niger in September 2018. Earlier this month, however, he was finally released. In a new interview, Father Macally says he was sustained throughout by simple morning and evening prayers that he had learned from his mother and the Holy Rosary, which his grandmother had taught him to use as contemplative prayer. He also recounted how, in May of this year, he received a shortwave radio which, to his great surprise, could be tuned to Vatican radio. In fact, the first thing he was able to listen to, he recalled, was Pope Francis offering Holy Mass upon Pentecost Sunday from St. Peter's Square. Thus, says Father Macally, he found himself in communion with the Pope and the Church around the world. Up until his capture, Father Macally had been working with his religious order, the Society of African Missions, within the Malian Diocese of Niamey. He says he now views his months of desert captivity as, quote, a time of great silence, of purification, and an opportunity to review the film of my life. Well, that's all for now. Do join me next time for some more news headlines from around the globe. Until then, may God bless you. Shalom.